Good morning, hand. Today's going to be 7-6 of spades. We are in EP3, so kind of early mid position. I open raise and I get two callers, so I think this is going to be hard to kind of judge. We've got 100, 260 hands for this guy, 111 for this guy. So just our early position play, we're raise first in something like this. Notice ace6, ace3, ace2 are out. Those two are like, these three hands are almost equivalent. Better to have like ace4, ace5 than to have ace6. So I just think that's kind of an interesting hand. All right, so this player's playing 22-20, 0. I know this is, we're getting caught on, just time, like how many weeks does it use to show these stats? And I know that because we have a 3-bet range of king jack suited, but that doesn't show up as a 3-bet here. So some of our notes are going to be limited. We do have called 3-bets in position 6-5. That's got to be late position. They open raise, blind 3-bets, and they call. Same thing with this guy. You're going to see we've got some limited information. We do have like did not 3-bet mid positions, raise first in from the cutoff with kings. So it's perhaps maybe he doesn't raise all the time with kings, but like the other guy called 3-bet in position with 8-7. That's got to be a late position raise. Then calls a button or one of the blind 3-bets. So here we have this first player's in the hijack. He's playing 18%, 17% in the cutoff. The raise first in stats 25-22. It doesn't look like he really limps. So we've got like a limp first in stat 0. When we look at call, he calls. I've got 0 on here, and I know that's probably not accurate. We have call any 3-bet, 1 out of 3. So maybe he did call a 3-bet with some of those, with the weak suited connector. I don't know. But I'm just going to say kind of standard is like a pocket pair, some of these suited connectors, suited aces. I'm going to assume he would have 3-bet jacks plus, ace king, and then like ace queen suited. This is 9.5%. This could be a little wide, but I think this gives us a starting point. I tighten this guy up because generally he looks a little tighter. 17-10. He does have 1 out of 104 for a 3-bet. Doesn't really have a limp first in either. So on the button, it's looking like 21%. So maybe he does play a little bit wider. We'll add him a little bit. So I started here. I left off. I included 50% for kings, 50% ace king, ace queen. Let's add back those pocket pairs. He was doing like 20%, 12%. Just 20% just seems high. Call 2-bet 5 out of 23. 21%, 4 out of 19. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Maybe. We'll just leave that 18%. We'll give him that. He's got just a range of hands here. Wider range than I think what's typical. All right, so we see 8-8-2. We don't connect at all. It's on us. We're 3-way. I think we play a little bit more straightforward. In terms of our draw, you can see there won't be many. 5.8%. If we go like 2-card backdoor draw with diamonds, we're at 11%. And then that leaves, what's our value range? I mean, if it's just overpair with those draws, you're looking at 17.12%. I do think we're going to be checking somewhat. I think quads, we go for it. We bet with quads. I think we probably check with a full house, with twos. Although we go for value. At some point, we're gonna need check with decent hand. So is it with a full house? Maybe if three of a kind is where we check. Definitely with overpair. I don't think we're always betting these. Maybe something like that. Maybe with kings and queens. And then we throw in then you throw in maybe these, maybe 3, 4, and 5. Maybe you throw those in. And that's probably it. Maybe add jacks on here too. I think that would be our C betting range. So you can see we don't have it. I don't think it's worthwhile to even C bet with our hand. So I think this is a check. I bet. I think this is a mistake. I think I'm too aggressive here. Even with both players being fairly tight and I don't expect these players to connect with it. I do think I'm going to be getting called. I think you've got your overpairs calling. I think any of your pairs are going to be calling. You've got flush draw that's going to call. And then I do think some of these players will be calling with like the ace high hands. And maybe with some of these other no made hands. This is very generous to say he's going to call with at least a pair, but that's 50% right there for him. And then, oops, darn it, I was doing the wrong guy. There, that's 36 for him. So 50% for him, 36 for him, and this guy's gonna be on the button. So we're gonna go back to here and pick same thing. I think it's same thing. We're gonna see. Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah, I don't think we're betting all of those. Like queens, kings, aces, maybe queens. Some of the queens I think we're betting. Some we're not. It's scaleless. Let's just say 50%. 50% of the time we bet the queens. 50% we don't. And that's what we're looking at. So that would be like our C betting range. Let's go ahead and say that this is what we made our C betting range as. We actually did see it. So now let's get back. This is 50% that he's going to call. This guy looks like maybe 36%. Question is, how many of them will actually call with just like overcards? So this guy does not, which is probably better because I think he would have had a call with a lot of overcards, a lot of junk. And I think once you get one caller, he's probably going to start folding those overcards. So we're down to heads up. If he calls just with all of those, then that's still gonna be good. So we're gonna say he called with these overcards here with the 2-card backdoor flush draw, and gosh, that's 90. We'll say ace queen ace jack. We'll just say that. All right. 3 clubs comes out. So we had 185 combos. We were only betting 32%. So now I think we're betting a bit more. So I think we're going to be betting all of our overpairs. That 3 did not help. I think we continue with our flush draw. And I think our gut shot. And that's probably pretty good. 70%, maybe slightly high, but I think that's pretty good. It kind of follows what we were doing. We weren't really c-betting a whole lot of our hands in our range, and that means we're going to have a stronger range when we do c-bet, thus leading to a higher frequency of barreling. I think that's what our barrel should be. So of course I barreled again. I don't like what I'm doing. I think at this point I'm thinking maybe he's on a heart draw. He could have any of those other pairs too. So that's the thing. And I mean he's calling with overpair easy. And if we break it down, his flush draw is only 9%. His overpair plus is 31%. I don't think he would raise with quads or full house. There's a possibility that he could raise at some point. So we could scale percentages, but 40% I think is decent. And I did a half pot. That's I think we're kind of getting ourselves into something. We're gonna get into a trouble. Even if he doesn't believe us, he could also be calling with some of these hands, these smaller pocket pairs, and that brings his calling range up to 73%. That's if he still doesn't believe us, and he might not. He could say, "Look, this is a dry board, so let's do that. Let's include all of those pocket pairs." And then the Queen of Spades, and that's, I think if the Queen of Spades came on the turn, we could be a little bit more justified in betting, because that does represent a scare card, and we could have easily had Ace Queen, King Queen, Queen Jack, and that could connect. And then if we bet and we get called, we're just done at that point, because we made our shot, or we tried to win the pot. Didn't happen. Time to let it go. So Queen, I bet here. Question is, what am I gonna bet? I think you've got some value in top pair. I do. I think we've got some value in overpair, so I kind of think we're betting all of those. Our nothing and our ace high, see, we would have to be like 100% in this case to bet, just to balance our range. I guess it will come down to, what do I expect him to call? I think maybe he'd probably call 9 and 10, but I can't imagine he would call 4, 5, 6s, and 7s anymore. So I'm thinking about 46. So the weakest hands will be 9s and 10s. That makes up 22. So let's say that's 48% of his range, and then you've got 8% for the top pair, 3 of a kind at 16%, 24% at full house. So I think when we look at his weakest range, top pair has some value, but not all of it. Get rid of those. Maybe just ace queen, king queen, 2. Queen jack could be a check. Probably a check call. The overpair, I think we're getting called, and then yeah, obviously we're betting those for value. So I do think we're gonna get some value from aces and kings, and I think we're getting some value from like ace queen, king queen, backed into it with our heart. Yeah, all the heart draws are going to fold, but as you saw, I think I overestimated how many hearts are actually in this range. The hearts actually represented a very small percentage, like 10% total. So he missed. I think we go for value with our better hands, with at least our top pair plus hands. So I did half pot, half pot, half pot. Villain calls, 46% chance. So I mean, we deviated big time on this hand, and we get shown jacks. So that is, we assume jacks would. I assume jacks would have 3-bet, but that's like 10, that's like, you know, tens and nines. So if we throw in jacks here into his range, you're looking at 51%. That's, he did call. I mean, so yeah, that's, if he's gonna call that, maybe we start adding like queen jack as well. But look at the range that I have compared to him, to what I actually do. This is, I'm right at the bottom of my range. This was early on, 15 hands in. I really shouldn't have been c-betting. This should have just been a check. Some of that's probably a fold. I think that's what it is. Instead of bet half pot, even on this board, I think when we bet, we're betting on the larger side. I think 2/3 is probably preferred because it's really, it makes it harder for people to call. What we're trying to do is to generate some folds from those overcards, those cards that have equity from us. While at the same time, if players don't believe us, we're trying to get that extra money when we do have our good hands. So I would bet even in a three-way pot, we're targeting, you know, two-thirds pot with this bet. And then on this pot, on this board, again, if we think he's going to call again with his pairs, and with flush draws, then we could bet again on the larger size just to try to maximize our EV here. I mean, going down a half pot could be okay, especially if we have like a, you know, like full house, if we have quads. But again, we kind of have to think about, what are we trying to do with our bet size? If we lower our bet size, we're more likely to encourage some calls from our pocket, from all of the pocket pairs. But if the player's going to be indifferent to the bet sizes with his pocket pair, meaning he's going to call half pot just as frequently as he calls 2/3 pot, then we should go larger with all of our value hands because we're going to make more money. But overall, even if for some reason our flop bet was okay, or GTO said it's a decent spot, once that 3 comes, we should be done with it. It didn't help us. It didn't improve our range at all. I don't think it improves our fold equity. I think this is one of those cards where if he didn't really believe us on the flop, he's still not going to believe us on the turn. If this was a queen, that's a different story. Now it could be believable that we hit just now top pair, and it's going to make him really think about folding those smaller pocket pairs that he could have in his range, and letting our very weak hand win the pot. So overall, this is a bad hand. Messed up. Shouldn't have played it like this. And it is what it is. So just gonna take some notes, kind of write down what he played. So he called EP3 3 big blind RFI in a hijack with jacks. Jack of clubs, jack of spades. He is in position, and then he called 50%, call 50%, call 50% on 8 of hearts, 8 of diamonds, 2 of hearts, 3 clubs, queen of spades. So that's good to know. He's calling with those overpairs, and even when the scare card comes, the queen, even when that scare card comes, he still made the call. So we go for value. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.